Hey everyone, welcome again to the middle of nowhere. So yesterday I did a poll on what kind of video I should make for today, and a whole 15 of you voted, which is incredible. I expected maybe one or two. So thank you guys for tuning in, for watching. Everything means the world to me. That's why I continue to make videos. Plus, I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable in it. Hopefully, it's becoming a little bit better, a little bit smoother. But either way, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying your guys' comments and having a lot of fun. The poll was on the one, overwhelmingly so, was which series I intend on finishing this year. So we're going to go through, we're going to talk about which series I'm planning on finishing and go from there. I think I have 6 or 7 series that I'm going to talk about. Pretty sure it's 7 that I hope to finish this year and check them off the list as complete. And so let's go from there. The first one I started as a year-long kind of buddy read in the Indie Accords. I've kind of fallen behind by one book, but I should be able to catch up this month or next month in getting them read. So I've read 3 out of the 9, and this also includes his other sub-trilogy, The Echo Saga by Philip C. Quintrell. This is book 1, The Echoes of Fate. Just kidding. This is book 1, Rise of the Ranger, and it talks about, it all focuses on Asher, who has this magic stone, goes from there. It has a lot of those epic fantasy elements. You have elves, dragons, dwarves, kind of all of those elements going into there. Some ancient magic as well as throwing in, but it has kind of a newer twist with assassins who bind their eyes with rags so that they can sense everything better and become the ultimate killer. And it goes through this journey of rediscovery and salvation and war and backstabbing as the elves want to overthrow the humans because they were defeated previously. The dragons have kind of disappeared and they're in this other spot, and there's this going on with the elves. And anyway, it's really interesting. I don't want to go into too much details about it. Book 3 kind of felt like an end, to be honest. So I've read 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm curious to see how it picks up in book 4. I'm not sure. I know Marilyn, who sometimes tunes into my channel, has been reading it with me, and she has made it through book 4. I'm sure she's planning on getting into book 5. We were kind of left at an end, and it was kind of heart-wrenching. And so that's why I kind of fell off last month. Not that the writing is extremely good. I have done a couple of them on audio. They are by Stephen Brand, which I know is not a favorite narrator of many, but it doesn't seem to bother me as much as it does them. Where it ended, I don't know that I wanted to pick it up. I can't say anything because of spoilers, but it is my intention to finish, so I'll jump back into book 4 and hopefully get hooked right from the beginning again and go. It also, in this book right here, it also has one of the most interesting takes on mermaids that will chill your soul. That's all I will say. That's one series I intend to finish this year. We're just going to stack them back behind me as I go. The next series, I actually have started this last year, and I loved it. And I have no excuses as to why I didn't continue, other than I was reading a lot of other amazing books. But I am finding a deep love for this author. And the series I intend to finish is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. I have read book 1, completely engrossed me and drew me in. Such an intriguing world, and it's dark, but it's not overly dark, as the characters are just trying to go about and survive in their worlds, and they're kind of a doomed crew sent on an impossible task, and they're overthrown by one person who ends up getting them into this mess, and it's really cool to see how the crew develops around them. But it's not told from the perspective of the captain, it's told from the perspective who was demoted. And it's really, really interesting. Biggest thing that I can say about R.J. Barker is his worlds engross me completely, especially not only in the words that he writes, but also in the things that he leaves out, and just kind of lets it leave to your imagination in a way that is unique and different, as the ships are made out of bone. Haha, surprise. No, but there's no trees. There are no trees in this world. And so it's really interesting to see those different elements, because he never mentions that there are no trees. He just does not mention them, and it becomes a very unique take on this. And so it became very interesting. I'm very excited to continue. I may read book 1 again. I remember it a lot. This is one that keeps coming to mind more than a lot of other books. And so I will probably just jump right back into book 2, as I remember pretty much everything clearly. So this is another trilogy that I intend to finish this year. And I have 2 books left. I have books 2 and 3. This other trilogy is one that I've talked about quite a bit, as I've intended to read book 2 the past couple months. But that is the Waystations trilogy by N.C. Scrimgeour. I'm still probably mispronouncing that, but it is a trilogy I intend to finish this year. I've said quite a bit about it, but it's one that I read because I read book 1 because of SPSFC, fell in love with it, immediately bought the trilogy, fully intend to finish it this year. I'm not making any excuses. Still read it pretty recently. I just have books 2 and 3, which I do own, ready to go. The next one, surprise, surprise, is another R.J. Barker trilogy, Age of Assassins. So this one's kind of interesting. I gave my TBR for May. I got into a little bit of a funk, started all the books that I kind of said I needed to start and read for this month, and just couldn't get into any book. It's weird because when I go into these like reading funks, it's not that I don't want to read, it's just that I can't get engrossed in any of the stories, so I just find myself jumping from book to book until one hooks me. And this month, I happen to be book 1 of his, what is this series? The Wounded Kingdom trilogy. And so I read The Age of Assassins. And it follows an assassin apprentice who has a club foot as they get thrown into, literally from the very beginning, into this intrigue with the courts. I am a sucker for a great assassin's story and tale, so if you guys have some favorites, let me know down in the comments down below. I love assassins. Love to see what recommendations you guys have. But once again, immediately drawn into the world, things that he never explicitly says that become a critical piece of the story. I know this one came out before Bone Ships. It's not as smooth or as polished as Bone Ships, but I still gave it 5 stars just because I loved it, and highly looking forward to reading books 2 and 3 later this year, and I know that I will read those. Somebody can probably do a count and tell me how many books I have left to read this year, but I'm pretty sure to finish all these series, but I'm pretty sure it's upwards of around 25 to 30 books. The next trilogy that I'm going to talk about, I have not started. It is the only one that I haven't started yet. I might talk about one more. I'm going to do an honorable mention of one other series that I want to read. I will probably start it, but I don't know that I'll finish it this year. But the one that I want to read this year is the Ashen Sand trilogy by Richard Nell. This is Kings of Paradise. I've owned this for about a year. I got it on my birthday last year, and it was gifted to me, and it sounds very, very intriguing. I don't know too much about it. as you guys know, I tend to not look into a lot of the books I read, just enough to get me interested in them. But I've heard a lot of great things. I know some other friends have been buddy reading it, and they seem to have enjoyed it and are reading the whole trilogy. I didn't commit to that buddy read just because I knew I couldn't fit it in the time frame. But I am planning on reading this trilogy this year and see what happens with that one. The last trilogy of the physical books that I own and I'm going to talk about is the Graven Trilogy by Essa Hansen. I read Nofek Gloss on audio, and it is one of my favorite audios that I've listened to. The narrator was fantastic, and book 2 was coming out and I was super excited, and then I found out no audio. So I did reread it in a physical format, as you can see, and I still really enjoyed the story. It wasn't just for the narration that I enjoyed it, as it's this boy that his family's massacred and he goes on this quest of revenge. It is a sci-fi trilogy, and he's pulled in and finds out that he has these other powers and kind of similar tropes that a lot of people are there, but Essa Hansen puts this spin on it, and that makes it very interesting, really cool to see and to read. And so I plan on reading books 2 and 3 this year, just to knock off this trilogy and find out what the conclusion is. Once again, if you're looking for a great sci-fi with amazing narration, I highly recommend doing Nofek Gloss on audio. Then you'll have to read books 2 and 3 in either a digital or physical format. I will do 2 and 3 in a digital format, as I purchased them that way. I may get books 2 and 3 to complete the collection, but I think it will depend on how my reading goes with those. This one is on a little bit of a lower priority, but I still really enjoyed the story and intend to finish towards the latter part of this year. The last series I'm going to talk about is because of my book of the month last month, which was The Malevolent Seven by Sebastian de Castell. As I mentioned, it was my first experience with this author. I loved it, and so I really want to read his Greatcoat series. I know there's 4 books, they're already out. I own them all digitally. I have no excuses why I haven't read them yet. I got them on a great deal, but because I love that book so much, I know I'm going to be jumping into those books sooner rather than later. And if I enjoyed that series as much as I enjoyed The Malevolent Seven, you can bet that it will probably be read very quickly, and I will more than likely finish it this year if that is the case. I have no plans to finish that one. I know I'm going to start it at least, but once again, if I love The Malevolent Seven very, very much, and so if the writing is very similar and the story intrigues me just on a near equal level, it will be completed. Anyway, any of these series on your list, let me know. I'm always down to read some books with somebody. I try to keep to a pretty strict schedule, so I can't promise as to when I'll get to each one, but I have them slotted in for me to read this year. I also only kept it to series that have already been completed that I know I can get to the end to. I'm reading several series and I'm caught up on several already, as I'm just waiting for the next books to come out. But these are my most anticipated series that I want to finish, and look forward to seeing your thoughts on it. Thank you guys for watching. It means the world to me. Like I said at the beginning, I'm incredibly grateful that I even have 2 people that watch these videos. It means a lot, but happy reading and stay great.